Hi everyone, it's Jan from Jan Plans Things, and today I've got a pretty exciting product that I've been looking forward to showing you guys, which is this notebook from a Malaysian company called ana-tomy. Ana-tomy. Anatomy? I'm going to go with ana-tomy. So I actually hadn't heard of these guys before they reached out to me and asked if I wanted to do a review, and I said, okay, why not? I'm always into reviewing notebooks. And then they sent me a link to their website and I was completely bamboozled. I was just completely shocked because first off, on the website, the notebooks were stunning. They're absolutely beautiful. And then secondly, you could customize almost everything under the sun. So you could customize your cover, your elastics, the paper type, like watercolor paper, dotted paper, lined paper, planner paper, and I was just completely bamboozled of what to do. So what I thought would be a simple, I'll pick a color for the cover, ended up taking 2 hours while I tried to work out what everything was. So ana-tomy, I think they were a Malaysian company established in 2016, which I checked on their website. And I haven't actually opened this yet at all, so I wanted to show you guys the unboxing as much as possible. And I hope you guys find this useful. So first off, I think it comes in this lovely, has my name on it, and my order number. And this lovely packaging reminds me a little bit of Aesop packaging, and they've got a little blurb here about how they want to reduce waste, and it's still really nicely printed. Now, how do I open this without embarrassing myself? Too late. Oh no, Jen. Oh no, it's fine. Be cool. All is well. Okay. So, isn't this such a pretty box? So, it says that the packaging is designed to be repurposed as a storage book for your notebook inserts, which is really cool. And they've got the date and everything along that line. And they've got this little postcard that came too. It says, "It's weird not to be weird." I can get behind that. I think the weirder you are, the more wonderful you are. And it's got this lovely card here, and it explains how to get a smooth writing experience, and it says here that the paper is fountain pen and gel ink pen friendly, which probably means that the paper is all coated, probably not the watercolor paper though, but that's really, really good because I think that means they'll be quite good for journaling. So we've got that, and then we've got a little blurb. So it says, "You are about to unveil a one-of-a-kind ana-tomy notebook that is made especially for you," which it really is because I spent ages selecting this notebook. So this is really nice, beautiful. Oh, isn't this presentation nice? Having lovely packaging, I think, is always part of a good experience. So I'm going to close that there. And they've got their own little washi tape, and it says, "It's weird not to be weird." And I'm just going to carefully, yay. All right, so here is my notebook. Oh, it's very pretty. Take away so it doesn't crinkle. So they let you pick your embossing as well. So I asked for rose gold embossing of my name, Jan. They let me pick the type of ribbon, the type of cloth. So I picked a cloth-bound notebook. There's also hard-bound notebooks, so I kind of like the idea of a cloth-bound notebook. You can also pick your ribbon colors, and there's a couple of varieties of the cloth with the spine that you can select. And it's got this lovely matching rose gold detail at the back here. So you can pick the elastic as well. I don't know if I mentioned that already. I just couldn't believe it. I'm going to show you the website. Okay, so here is the ana-tomy website, and this is the cloth book section. I'm going to select a cloth cover. I'm going to pick the green one because the pink one that I picked is currently out of stock. And then you can cycle through the colors at the top just in case you still want one, and then you can pick the type of coil that you want. So the color coil, I reckon silver or black goes really nice with this journal. Then you can customize the elastic band at the front, what color you would like it, as well as the little bookmark coming out of the bottom, which is pretty cool. And then you can also change the adjustable pen loop, which is that little cardboard slip that I showed you guys before. You can also do a name inscription in the foil color, and they'll match that foil color at the back as well. And then after that, this is the bit that kind of blew my mind. You go into the format tab, where you can pick every type of paper that your heart desires, kind of like if you want it dotted, lined, and they come in sections, and the little number in the corner shows you how many pages that takes up. So for example, the watercolor pages are much thicker, so you wouldn't get 30 pages of that, but you could get up to, I think that looks like 240 pages of just a normal dot grid if you don't want any watercolor paper. So I did 90 for this version. I did 90 pages at the front with dotted paper with a little bit of the introductory journal at the beginning, which you can get rid of, and then I had variations of the 200 and 300 GSM watercolor paper at the bottom. Okay, so here it is inside, and it's got this lovely cover. So the only thing is they're spiral bound. And I know some people don't like that, especially if you're left-handed, it might be a problem, but I don't mind it too much because I have them on my Mosseri notebooks, but I don't really mind it. And they have these rose gold spirals because you can pick your spiral color as well. And let's open this and have a look. This is embossed on the ana-tomy sign. And it says, we're all different, but in a good way. So this is embossed, debossed as well. I've got a beautiful quote there. This page, I reckon you would use as like a dashboard page. It says messages. This is cute. Owner's identity card. And it gives me, write all this. So the thing is, you should always write down when your information onto your notebook, because if it's lost, someone can call you and save you from being miserable. So this is actually silvery printed, lovely, and we've got a little map of the time zones. So I think these pages are standard, but you can just take them out if you want to do. They've got international standard paper size chart, which I love because in my job every day I feel like I'm always checking what size paper I'm printing onto, and you'd think after 10 years or 12 years of doing architecture I'd remember, but no, I forget almost every day. When there's too much in your brain, get something else to remember for you. And then I've got this lovely table of contents as well, which is excellent, like for an index. And let's see. What is like, ooh, pretty. It's like silvery paper. Got some bonus stickers. Cool. This is kind of like a Japanese, nice, like minimalistic version of like the Erin Condren, where you get all this stuff with it as well. But I really like this design. It's kind of like my aesthetic. I totally learned that off you younger people when you commented on my pages. Cool. And here we've got some calendar pages, really nicely laid out. This is kind of like your future log in your bullet journal. And ooh, wow, this folds out to like a year overview. Super cool. And then I've got some glitter paper. Sometimes I feel some of these pages are just printed with nice patterns because they can. I've got another calendar that goes into 2020, because goodness help us all. And I have lined paper to show you, some grid paper for the year ahead, Ooh, I think I have a little, did I do that? No, it's like a little stain on that. It's a shame, that's alright. And then we've got some annual plans as well, if you wanted to put those in. Because I actually picked a whole selection of papers so that you could see all the types of spreads that they have. So some personal goals that you can stick in. Some happy things as a mood board. And some more of this year. Professional goals, more personal goals. And now happy things again. And now we're onto the grid paper. And this is really nice grid paper actually. It has kind of like pale blue dots, and also it's got numbers across the top and all along the side. There is this little gap in the middle. I don't know if that would annoy some people. I do a lot of paintings where it goes across the entire spread, but I think if I was using this notebook to do that type of art, I would change it up a little bit and mostly concentrate it on corners or something like that to make use of this this layout. Plus, the other thing with spirals is you can rip the pages out. So I specified, I think, 5 sets, which ends up being like 120 pages or something of dot grid paper. It's unnumbered at the bottom, so you'll have to number it yourself if you want to use it as the index. Yes. And then, which I thought was really cool, I was able to select watercolor paper, which is 50% cotton paper. And that's really cool if I want to use it as a sketchbook. But not only that, I picked 7 pages because I think they match it by thickness. So I got 7 pages of 200 GSM watercolor paper. And then I also got, I think, 5 to 10 pages of 300 GSM, like really lovely, thick, and it's like this lovely white creamy color. I actually really like the paper color. It's not like a blue white, it's like a warm white color. And so we've got 300 GSM of this watercolor paper as well, which is really cool. Email coming in. We have this. This is the cardboard pen loop. I think you just, I saw it in the thing. I think you meant to tuck it in this. There we go. Here's the pen loop. I've never used the cardboard pen loop before. I wonder how that will hold up. There is the pen loop. Cool. And we've also got, I think, a little bit of a pocket there as well. And I think you can put cards in here. Pockets here, slide some papers in, and a card here. So I picked my ribbons to be these two. I've got white and a peachy beige color, kind of to match the front. So the paper itself feels a little bit, feels thin, but the thing is, I don't think paper thickness does help with ghosting, but it doesn't mean as much for bleeding because it really depends on the coating on the paper. So what I'll do is I'll do a test on this paper for you guys, and while we're at it, I'm going to show you how to paint some of the Christmas stuff that we've been doing. So I'm always a fan of efficient tutorials, so I'm going to just do maybe, I don't know, I really like it so I don't want to waste pages. Maybe do a pen test somewhere here. Okay, I'll pick a page, I'll commit, and then we will get started. Okay, so I'm back. I finally managed to pick a page. I'm going to use the dotted page on the left hand side and then the watercolor paper on the right hand side so you guys can kind of see the difference. So I'm going to start off by doing a pen test. I'm going to try and do it vertically so that it doesn't give you guys vertigo of me just spitting everything around all the time, motion sickness. So here we go. First up, I've got the Tombow Fudonosuke hard tip pen, which is my favorite lettering pen. Got pen test. Yeah, I'll write that. Tombow. Gosh, Jan, don't do spelling live. Alright, so we have Sakura Micron, Ye Old Faithful, and a colour this rectangle as well. And what I might actually do is just write out the rest of them as well. We'll go rotring, isograph, fountain, pocket brush, so we can label everything later. And then we'll go mild liner, Tombow jewel brush. You can hear my husband clicking away in the background. Oh, I should go in order. Be a logical person. There you go. Here is the rotring isograph. Architect's pen. Let's hatch a bit, and then let's do a little bit of full color. Interested to see because it should be fountain pen friendly. Fountain pen. This is the Sailor 911 black luster fountain pen. All black, kind of cool, right? It's like my stealth pen. Got a pocket brush pen. Oh no, it leaked on me a bit. Pocket brush pen. Let's draw a line over the middle as well to see how that holds up. Got our mild liner. And we're going to do that thing. We go across a few times to build up the density and see how that affects the paper on the other side. And then we've got the dual brush pen. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Let's have a look. Can you see? This actually reminds me a lot of the Leuchtturm. You can see some ghosting because the paper is quite thin, but the only bleeding is on the mild liner. So strangely, the brush pen did not bleed through. The ghosting is quite strong though, but the mild liner did just a little bit where the ink stops. But everything else is kind of just ghosted. Now the thing is, I know a lot of people actually don't like ghosting that much, but I don't have that much of a problem with it. So I think it really just depends on your preference. If you don't like ghosting, you'd have to get a much thicker paper, kind of like the Archer and Olive notebook. So I'm also going to do a quick swatch. So move these pens out of the way. Of watercolor. Get some red. Got to label that first. That's okay. Add some more pigment here. And let's have a look. Now the thing is, the little dots, they do repel watercolor. Some brands repel more than others. So you can kind of see here that you've only got ghosting through there and not actual bleeding as well. So this paper actually reminds me a lot of the LT paper. So if you do like the LT paper, this might be a notebook that you would enjoy quite a lot. So I'm just going to write watercolor there. Okay, so what I might do now is I'm going to quickly show you guys It's like the kind of difference that we get here. I will use some paints from Gallo, which is a handmade watercolor studio in Italy. I have reviewed their paints in the past. Just gonna put this somewhere. Okay. And I'm gonna draw a peppermint here. I'm gonna start by just drawing a circle. Peppermints are kind of like my favorite thing to draw this month. They just really brighten up the layout. So I'm gonna draw a peppermint here as well. So first off, we start off by drawing a simple circle, and then you can use like a coin or something if you're unsure or not positive you can draw a perfect circle. I think if it's imperfect, it kind of just adds character to it. So I'm putting a dot in the center, and I'm just going to draw a little wedge, but curved. The curve makes it look a little bit more 3D, so that the peppermint looks like it's got a little bump on the sides and comes closer into the middle. So that one only has 3 stripes. Let's try 4 for this one. Sometimes I forget what I'm doing halfway through. I figure it's all character anyway. And I might also draw a candy cane. So I'll sketch with pencil first. I'd recommend, if you're pretty confident, you can probably sketch it out with like a pale yellow pencil, which I think would look quite nice in watercolor, as a watercolor pencil, because that would help it blend, and then the pencil line will kind of disappear. But because it's my journal, I don't really mind as much. So I'm going to start again and draw the top, the curve, and then I'm going to use this page of doodles later. Just drawing it up. Okay, so when I'm painting my little candy canes and stuff, oh, just flinging that around everywhere, sorry. I'm just going to add stripes. Candy cane doesn't have stripes. What's that? Candy cane. Okay, so to start off with, I'm using a pale brown colour, kind of like a yellow ochre, and I'm just going to paint the edge of this, and this acts as the shadow. And the thing is, it's nice. And then I'm going to do the same on the candy cane on this side. So I'm going to show you the difference between using a warm shadow and a cool shadow. So we've got brown here, and it's really simple. I'm just painting the edges and leaving the center white. And then on the other side, I'm going to do a grey shadow, and the grey I've mixed using ultramarine and a yellow ochre. And I'm going to just paint that on the edges. This paper makes me feel kinda at home because it feels so much like washi paper. It's nice and smooth. Watercolor paper on the side. Yeah. And then I'm going to use this colour, and I'm going to mix it off to the side. Just a little bit of the red, a little bit of the slightly earthier red as well. I like it dark because I feel like it makes the candy just look a little bit richer. But the other thing is, you don't want to mix too much water into this because you want it quite pigmented. So now I'm just going to simply paint colour in. My pigments look a little bit earthy. My laptop's working really hard, so it actually sounds like it's raining. If you guys can hear that, I apologize in advance. So, that's just recording this as we go. Paint. I think the brown looks really nice with the red, because the red itself is already quite warm. And because you've already shaded it, it kind of like the layer of red that you put on, because it's translucent, it picks up that shading that you did underneath already. The watercolor paper reminds me a lot of Mossery paper, or paper that you might get in a sketchbook, like the Moleskine watercolor sketchbook. Because it has that blend of paper with the cotton. Look at this, so speeding through this. Yes. I don't know. The large amount of customization is so cool with this notebook. You can have it like as your on the go bullet journal, as well as a watercolor sketchbook that looks like this. Watercolor actually looks fantastic. So now, because this candy cane is warm, I'm going to just tint the bottom of this. It doesn't matter that it's still wet. I kind of like it running into each other, just adding a little bit of stronger shadows to the underside of the candy cane. And that adds a little outline. If you're not steady with your brush, you might have wanted to swap to a blend a little bit. You can, because it's watercolor paper, so it's nice and soft and it hasn't soaked in completely yet. You can blend the lines out. What was I saying? You can see that. I'm kind of just... That's very cool. I've gone a bit too far. It's diluted my little colouring, but that's okay. Let's have a look. Let's try it. Let me dab this. Ooh. That's very cool. So when you are able to dab, like I did just then, and lift the paint off, that's called lifting. And some subpigments are staining, some aren't. And if you test your watercolors beforehand, you'll know which colors of yours are staining. And that can kind of make a difference in what you're using them for and when. So, sorry, just need to restart the camera. So that's kind of nice. And then for the grey one, I'm going to use a blue-grey outline instead. And actually, because the shadow hasn't come too strong, I'm just going to overlay it again on top. So give it more of a 3D look. I'm going to use, because it's wet on wet, I can blend it a little bit to make that look more 3D. It looks a bit like a beach ball. And then that's the same here. And this is pretty much simply how I would... No, that was a mistake. Should use black for that one. No worries. Can fix this. This is basically how I would do my candy canes that I've been doing this month. And what I would do at the end is use some white gouache. That's a weird word. Gouache. Gouache. Yeah, I'm going to just use some white, and I'm going to just paint like the 3D part, like a shiny along the side. I love how that has blended because it's actually watercolor paper. And you can kind of see with this, oh, ink, it doesn't blend because it's the coating. It kind of sits on top of the paper instead. Let's add some 3D here too. Cool. If you want, you can add extra details on your palette. Or your candy cane, just adding these extra lines. But that is up to you. The other difference is the coated paper tends to dry a lot faster. So now that's it. Now if you have a look on the back of this, it's just a little bit of ghosting because it's the 200 GSM. There's a tiny bit of buckling, but it's about the same as you would get on any watercolor paper. And on this one, so no bleeding for that one at all, just a little bit of ghosting. So that gives you a pretty quick tour of the ana-tomy notebook. I really like it. I just love how customizable it is and how you can adjust it to your needs. I really wish there was a version that didn't have the rings, but I don't know how. It's probably not possible because you'd have to make the little folds of each piece of paper and stitch it together somehow. So I imagine doing custom versions of those notebooks would be extremely expensive. But I thought I'd just give you guys a kind of view of it. I'm going to say the color difference and the blending difference between those two. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that and I found that helpful, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys again next time. Bye!